Hello and welcome to Theme Park Information. In today's show, we're doing a in-depth look at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Now, this is a theme park located in the UK, right in the town of Blackpool, as it should suggest. This park has a great location right up against the beach and seafront. It means it's also pretty easy to find. You just need to head towards the sea. Hopefully, you don't end up in it. The location is one of this park's major strengths. It's so cool to look at from the promenades and stuff like that you get around it, and also just a really nice park to be in because of its location. The pricing is also another huge bonus. I mean, when it costs £25 a ticket, you're onto a bit of a winner. So not any complaints on that one, I'm afraid to say. It's a really, really good cost to get into a really decent theme park for the day. Again, talking about getting in, I suppose. They have a strange kind of wristband and ticket system, so you need the wristband for the rides, which kind of works quite well. I mean, you would possibly like the wristband scanning system to be a little bit closer to the entrance, or maybe just outside it, so you can get it scanned in and not at the main entrance building. So, because obviously there'd be a chance you could queue, and then maybe your wristband is broken or damaged and can't go on it. Whereas if it's right at the entrance, you at least don't have to queue for it. But I also do like the flexibility that you could actually have just the ticket and just wander around. So, for example, if you didn't want to go on any of the rides, if maybe you were babysitting or something like that, you could actually have that as an option, which I do quite like. It kind of doesn't, penalise you for actually not going on stuff. It works well. Talking of the rides, we have Avalanche, which is a really cool Mack bobsled. Really good fun. My friend is a huge fan of bobsleds, and I will agree with him that this is a good, fun ride. It picks up some good speed, really enjoyable. We then have one of their old wooden roller coasters. They have quite a few, Blackpool. Loads of them from the 20s and 30s, and this is one of them. The Big Dipper, lovely wooden roller coaster, a little bit rough, really iconic little shot of it going around above the station, with the kind of imitation fire or flame and stuff like that. Could possibly do with a bit of a repaint the area, and I'm not sure the station area has a long enough queue, but it's a really enjoyable ride. I mean, I will be honest, it's good fun. A little bit rough, a little bit shaky, but I think that's a lot of charm and a lot of history with it. And it's the same with this park as a whole. There's a lot of kind of history and charm with it. There's a lot of a sense that this park has been kind of a family-run theme park for well over 100 years. There's a lot of that kind of not so much corporations have been involved or big developers or anything like that. It's kind of got a very homey kind of lovely kind of warm feeling. It feels really kind of British as well, which really seems really strange, but that's the kind of sense I get for it. I think the big one is also kind of there as a little bit of a change to that, because obviously it is sponsored by Pepsi Max. Hashtag this video isn't sponsored, by the way. It possibly should be. Big fan of Pepsi Max, especially cherry. But yeah, this is a bit of an aerodynamics hyper coaster. It's actually the tallest roller coaster in the UK, which somewhat surprises me because it actually probably shouldn't be, but it's okay. The front row is quite good. The back row is probably better. You get a little bit more force, a little bit more airtime. There were points where I was wondering whether or not I was getting airtime because of the ride or because of the bumpiness. Even though I will be honest, I actually found this ride somewhat comfortable. I think it may be a case of fitting the seat pretty perfectly, literally perfect to my body shape, which when I actually wasn't in any sort of discomfort, I just thought it was quite fun. It's quite open. It actually goes all around the park, which is actually pretty amazing, and interacts really well with the edge of the park as well. It's really visible from pretty much everywhere as well, and looks really impressive. I mean, it's a sort of roller coaster which, if I hadn't actually gone on anything major before then, I would probably think it would be absolutely wonderful. As it happens, it's not as good as it probably is considered, but it's still really good. I do remember this ride appearing on Insane Coaster Wars and stuff like that, and getting a 7 out of 10 pretty much. And I kind of agree with that to a sense. 6 or 7 is probably where I'd score it. Moving down, we do have Icon, which wasn't open when I went. It has subsequently opened. At the time of this video, it's open, and it's been getting some reasonably good, strong reviews. People have been kind of praising it. It's modernness, its appearance, it's the effort has been put in and such like. And generally speaking, I think they've been enjoying it. There's been some question marks over whether or not it's too slow or not. I suppose the argument is you'd have to go on it. I also think it kind of lacks height. The highest point is only 88 feet, so it's not overly long. I mean, it's got a fairly long track length of over, 3,750 feet, so it's quite a long ride. It looks to have, some airtime moments. It has a couple of inversions, so generally pretty good. We then have the Grand National, which possibly has one of the most hidden stations ever, considering how iconic this ride actually is as well. It also has a really cool thing of being racing as well. It's a really good ride. I actually really enjoyed it. It's really, really rideable. And generally speaking, again, a little bit like the Big Dipper. It's not smooth. It's kind of rough, but it's kind of fun, as well. It's kind of has this kind of fun roughness with it, where it's kind of a bit of a old attraction, a bit of a it's been there a while. It's been well weathered, but it's still really enjoyable, still good fun, and you can still go on it, again. And it's I put it this way, it's like the sort of ride where, unlike something like Stampede, which is painful, this is just a little bit bumpy. So it's not painful or anything like that. Actually, talking of painful, we do have Infusion, which is a Vekoma SLC, and actually a ride which I actually missed out on my original review, which is really poor. I mean, in fairness, of all the rides to miss out, a Vekoma SLC is probably the one you want to do. It's just a pretty mediocre ride. Doesn't particularly do anything special or anything particularly interesting. So, I mean, I will be honest, I'm somewhat happy I missed it out because I didn't have to talk about it. But unfortunately, it's there. It's there. It's over water, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool colour scheme. And I'm going to run out of things which are cool about it really quickly, so I'm going to move on. Then we have Revolution, which is actually a really interesting shuttle kind of ride. So pretty much you kind of go up a set of stairs to where you go to the main station, where you get launched forwards, you go down a drop into a loop up, starting going into what could be described as Station B, and then you go backwards through the loop again, back up into the original station. And I will be honest, I was waiting for this to be one of the worst roller coasters I've ever been on. It has nothing to it. It has a single loop. It doesn't look particularly quick or anything like that. But actually, the launch is actually quite fun. The drop is quite fun. The loop is quite fun. The little lift into the second station, you get a little shot of airtime, which is quite fun. And then doing it backwards is also, guess what, quite fun. And generally speaking, it's pretty cool, this ride. I really enjoyed it. I will say that this station and stuff like that could do with a bit of a maintenance and maybe a bit of a uplift and stuff like that. It looks a little bit rusted and such, which didn't fill my friend with that much confidence. But overall, it was a okay ride. I mean, I was expecting it to be awful, and it far exceeded those expectations. So can't really complain too much. Then we have Nickelodeon Street, which is pretty much a kids roller coaster, wooden roller coaster. It's actually quite good fun. I mean, I have no real problems with it at all. I kind of enjoyed it, but there's just not that much to really discuss or talk about it. It's just a pretty average wooden roller coaster, very similar to, for example, like Blue Streak, for example, See the Point, that sort of ride, but overall quite cool. Then we have what is actually probably the biggest surprise of the entire trip, and that is Steeplechase. I thought this would be awful. I will be honest, I'd literally seen pictures of it, videos, I was like, wow, it looks incredibly boring. And it's actually really, really good fun. I don't know if it's just because it's just a two-person kind of vehicle, or because it's actually quite long, quite unique. It's just really, really cool. It's apparently the last of its kind, and I will be honest, I am gobsmacked if they ever decide to remove this ride, because it's so good. It really is really good. It's so much better than anything I thought. And I mean, I'll put it this way, they could have easily built an icon, removed it, or changed it, or done something with it. Maybe, utilised icon and built all over that area. Nope, they kept it. And it really works really well. In terms of thrill rides, this park is seriously lacking. They do have a drop tower, an SS power tower, which we didn't actually go on because it's just not particularly the sort of ride I really want to go on. It's it's nothing particularly special. They then do have a Ghost House, Skyfire, which is very interesting. They're kind of the sort of ride where you have to physically get them to rotate. I never can, partly because of bad luck and partly because of lack of effort and technique and stuff like that. And also partly because my friend happens to be absolutely amazing at getting it to rotate over and over and over and over again. So it is slightly annoying, but oh well, we kind of each to their own. He's very good at it, so well, I probably should just let him review it. But yeah, they're still good fun. Moving on to the water rides, I will say actually this park kind of does like a really serious like log flume. I mean, there is one in Nickelodeon Land, but it's literally pretty pathetic. So you kind of just have to look towards Valhalla, which opened in 2000, and is actually damn amazing. Like, it has so many effects, has fire, smoke, obviously water. You get absolutely soaked. There's 3 drops on it, one of which is backwards, which happens to be the first one, which actually done really cool. You kind of come up to an opening and then rotate backwards. The only thing I would say would be really cool if this opening was overlooking the park or overlooking the queue line. That would be a slight, improvement I could think about making to it. I have no idea how wet you get at the back of it because we're at the front, and I can tell you get absolutely soaked at the front. The especially the second and third drop got me absolutely soaked. I did happen to bang my shin on the first 4 drop, so I did spend the greatest part of going up the lift hill for the third and final one in some degree of discomfort, which was really annoying. Really hurt. I had a bruise there for a few days, so I could maybe see them might include a bit more padding in for the seats. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's the sort of ride you probably only will ever go on once. But if it's a really, really warm, summer's day, it'll be great. Anyway, they're all the rides and attractions at the park. The park itself is actually really modern, presentable. Has a bit of a weird layout. It's over multiple levels and things are kind of tucked away. You can kind of tell it's been a park which has been open for over 100 years, where things have just ended up being in really random and strange places. But nevertheless, you could get around and it's very easy to pick up where things are as well. So you can learn the layout very quickly. There's obviously the history and traditions part's kind of really good. There's a lot of really interesting food places around. We happened to go for burgers, and we're served relatively quickly, and it was relatively cheap for what you got. I mean, you tended to get a pretty full meal. Overall, though, the park I really enjoyed that part of it as well. I possibly, as a complaint in my actual video, they could do with more signage. They could do with more where the rides are, where the entrances are. You could obviously put them on any of the lampposts or buildings dotted around, or alternatively you could have them on the floor where it's this isn't go this way for this. Anything at all just to make it a little bit easier to find stuff, especially for the first few hours we were there. Some of it can be a little bit difficult to find. Obviously they could do with improving some of the theming and stuff like that in certain spots, and obviously I believe some parts of it could possibly do with being renovated and modernised. So for example, the front entrance and the kind of overall look that has is pretty rubbish. Whereas you could possibly look towards Cedar Point. I'm not suggesting they should build a wing coaster which goes over the top of it, as cool as that would be. But that's the sort of front entrance they should probably go with. And Revolution's station could probably be updated. But overall, it's a really good park. Definitely worth the cost of admission and the wristband. And with Icon, as I said in my video, I think it makes it a miles better park. I don't really think there's anything particularly negative other than obviously making it easier to find, and obviously having Icon not be testing for the best part of 2 or 3 months would have been great as well. But obviously safety and ride performance comes first. There's no point in rushing to open a ride just to please me or any of the other public who happen to have booked tickets for that day. It's a park which is also horribly landlocked as well, so they are obviously going to either have to be very creative or very kind of cutthroat with what they decide to remove in the future. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the in-depth episode. If there's any questions or feedback, please feel free to comment and subscribe to this video. So I will catch you guys on the next one.